Okay, let me tell y'all a story. This is a story about the life of a boxer. It's a lonely story. I think some of y'all might get it. If y'all spend enough time training in the gym and getting your game on, putting your boxing gloves on, you probably get it. But I'm going to tell it to you just in case you need to be reminded, or for those that don't know what the life of a boxer consists of. First of all, you have aspirations. So you want to be the champ. You don't ever want to lose. But you know that as an impossible task to ask. So what you do first is you get into a gym. You walk in on day one and you meet the trainer and you tell him about who you are and what your attempts, what your goals are. Then you ask them for a program that can help you get into the right size for the right height. And then you start training. And that consists of walking before you can run. That consists of lifting light weights before you can get to the heavier weights. Then it consists of jump rope, which you might not have jumped rope since you was a teenager. Then it consists of pad work. You're learning your hand-eye coordination. You're learning how to throw certain punches. Then it consists of bag work, where that's the one time that you get to actually hit something with some power. And then you realize that your wrists hurt and your hands hurt. And you wake up the next morning and your arms hurt and your shoulders hurt and your back hurt. But you can't quit because you started off telling people that you was going to a boxing gym because you wanted to be a boxer. You want to be like the next Mike Tyson or the next Roy Jones or the next Oscar De La Hoya or the next Mayweather or Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson or Keyshawn Davis. Then you realize that it ain't that easy. That just because you put on a pair of gloves don't mean you're going to do all the things that you thought you was going to do before you put them gloves on. Then you realize that the guy in front of you don't stand still like the heavy bag do. And you realize after about 2 minutes in a round that's 3 minutes long and three of those, you realize you ain't going to make it. So then you go sit down on the bench and you start contemplating why you're there. And the short story is you want to be a boxer. But the long story is you ain't as good as you thought you was. So now all those comments you made on everybody's website about you suck and you ain't that good and your hands ain't fast and you got to get out the way of those punches. Now you realize why that guy's hands look like they weren't that fast and why he couldn't get out of the way of those punches and why he got hit in the stomach and the liver and the kidney and the chest all in about 4 seconds. Now you're saying, great, Dana Money, that's me. I suck. Nope. You're just new at boxing. And because you're new at boxing, you're not supposed to be able to box like you think you can. That's why it's called learning. That's why it's an art. That's why in America, you can get from white belt to blue belt in 2 years. But overseas, you'll be white belt for 2 years. It's a difference. You got to work on your techniques. You got to work on your strategies. You got to build your body up. You got to learn the art. Then you can climb in the ring and do what you think you came there to do. But until then, keep your butt out the ring until you learn something that can take care of you when you're in the ring. That's what all the shadow boxing is for. That's what all the coaching is for. That's what all the conditioning is for. That's what eating right is for. It's a lifestyle, y'all. So if you want to be a boxer, get ready for the lifestyle. Holla.